Well, good afternoon again. This is time for my weekly message. For those of you who are wondering, is this guy ever going to cut his hair? Well, the answer is I will eventually, but probably not for a while. You know, Anderson Cooper of CNN let his partner cut his hair, and he had a bald spot right here. And I don't really want to have a bald spot. But more importantly than that, actually, that's kind of a trivial thing. More importantly, though, is that this is a really difficult, trying time. And not being able to get my hair cut is a reminder of what we're all going through, although it's somewhat of a trivial example. It's nonetheless my way of showing that this is not a typical normal time. So when we're back to some semblance of normality, I'll cut my hair. But until then, I'm just going to let it grow. Okay, some of you may have, I hope all of you have had a chance to see the provost's town hall that he had last week. I think it was this past Wednesday, as I recall. It was on the 13th. It was very well received, and people had a lot of questions about his committee, his Restart Committee, in terms of what was going to happen in the fall. There were a lot of questions that weren't quite part of his committee, but was still very important to answer, related to facilities, HR, and a number of other things. And so based on the fact that it was such a popular town hall and people seemed to really enjoy it, we decided to do it again. This time it'll be all of the committee chairs will be part of it. It'll be on Thursday, this coming Thursday. I think that's the 21st. And even though all the committee chairs will likely be on the Zoom or Microsoft Teams meeting, special focus will be placed on HR, on facilities, and on public health. So please join in. This past week also, my friend and colleague, Ora Pescovitz, the president of Oakland, had a very nice op-ed that she wrote, and I think it was in the Free Press. It could have been in the news. I don't remember for sure. But it was an op-ed about why students should go to college this fall and not take a gap year or do something else. And I thought it was a very, very well-written article. But I just want to underscore her main point, which is that this is really a great time to be in school. And for those of you who are already in college and are graduating, it's actually a very good time to think about going to graduate school. The job market out there is not great for college graduates, and going to grad school, I think, is an alternative that one should think about. And for those of you who are in high school and graduating, going to college is really one of the best things that you can do. And so I want to encourage everyone to do that, and we'll refer you to Dr. Peskovitz's op-ed, which as I mentioned, was very nicely done. And at Wayne State, we're trying to make it as affordable as possible for students to, if you're already a Wayne State student, to continue at Wayne State. But if you're thinking about coming to Wayne State, to make it as affordable as possible. We have a number of programs. Two of them that I just mentioned is the Heart of Detroit, which we announced a number of months ago. We didn't announce it because of anything related to the COVID-19 pandemic, but certainly it's a great service that we're providing to the high school graduates of Detroit to be able to come to college without any out-of-pocket expenses. So check that out. But a new one that we just announced just a week or so ago is the Kickstart College program, where since those of you who are not already Wayne State students can't take advantage of the summer discounts on summer school classes, we're allowing those of you who are committed to coming to Wayne State in the fall to take a couple of courses during the summer free of charge. That will get you off on a great start to a college education here at Wayne State. You'll be getting college credits with no expense. And what better way to spend a couple of months in the summer? You can't do much of anything else anyway, so it really will be a great introduction to college, and we want to make that available for you. So those of you who are thinking about coming to Wayne State, please remember this message, but those of you who are not students, tell other people. Tell students and let them know about the Heart of Detroit program as well as the Kickstart program. And then finally, we're really seriously considering a 0% tuition increase this year. We're doing all the financial analyses now. It is going to make it tough for the university without that revenue. There's absolutely no question about that. But we think it's probably the right thing to do for our students to be able to be as affordable as possible, because so many people are suffering during this time. And so we want to be as affordable as possible, despite the fact that there will be some consequences for the university from a financial perspective. The board will be making that decision probably on June 5th. So we can't announce that at this point yet, but we're evaluating the possibility of doing that, and we'll be ready to make a recommendation to the board if there's any way that we can feasibly do that. Okay, on to books now. I mentioned last week that I was reading Little Bee, and it actually was a very good book. It was about illegal Nigerian migration to the United Kingdom. Little Bee was a girl who was whose village was basically destroyed and everybody killed because of oil, and she escaped, but they were after her. The soldiers were after her, and she finally made it to England. And although it was in novel form, it was also very educational, and I got to better understand the plight of illegal immigrants to the United Kingdom. The two books that I'm actually reading, two books at this point, just kind of going back and forth. The first one is called The Autobiography of William Sanders Scarborough. And the thing that interested me about this book was two things. One, it was published by Wayne University Press by a Wayne State faculty person, Michelle Ronick. But the other thing is that William Scarborough was a very interesting person. He came up from slavery to be an exceptional scholar. He was in the classics. This was a time when a study of the classics was the pinnacle of higher education, and he was a scholar in the classics. And so to come up from slavery to reach the absolute pinnacle of education and be a scholar in the classics was something that, I was not aware of him. I'm somewhat embarrassed to have to say, but I thought that it would be important for me to understand who this person was. And so I decided to read this book to learn a little bit about him. The other one is called The Lone Samurai, and this is about the life of Miyamoto Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi is actually one of my idols. He was a master swordsman. He had 60 battles in which he never lost, from the age of 13 to the age of 29. He wrote a book called The Book of Five Rings, which is very easy reading, but it's warrior strategies and insights that he gained from his duels. But he's a very unusual person, because when people think about the samurai in feudal Japan, which is a period of Japan that I'm fascinated by, when people think about the samurai, they think only of the warrior part. But many samurai were also very cultured and very learned. Musashi was exceptional. He, after the age of 29, when he won all his duels, he no longer killed anyone. He did continue to have some duels, but they were just really just to practice technique. He still never lost. But in his later life, he concentrated more on the arts and became a really accomplished painter. He was really into ink painting, sculptor, poet, calligrapher, just very accomplished, to the point where there are museums in Japan that feature a lot of his works. And so from that standpoint, both a warrior and a accomplished artist, he's just a very unusual type person, and as I mentioned, one of my idols from feudal Japan. So that's it for this week, and I'll see you next week.